This is the flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Rolling to the right is Stroud. Fires it toward the goal line. Touchdown for Dare Ogunbowale with 18 seconds left in the ball game.
I just feel like right now, yes, we're a better football team on paper, obviously, than what's on the field. And it's something that we have to find a way to tap into that and get the most out of it.
It is absolutely mystifying why the Jaguars have had the Colts number in this series.
Deep downfield, got a man. That's Christian Kirk along the left sideline. Touchdown, Jacksonville! A 29-yard touchdown pass.
Coach Coughlin's in the Ring of Honor. I mean, everything he's done for the team, his legacy speaks for itself.
Here we go. Yeah. Bye-bye. Brock Marion chasing. Brock Marion still chasing. Gets help from Smith. Touchdown. No flags. A 90-yard run.
This is only our second home game. We've been on the road a lot this year, so I think that is we're obviously really excited to be back home in our own stadium. The throwbacks, obviously, the uniforms were sweet, and just tribute for the history of this team. And it's been 30 years or so. So it's cool to be able to wear those uniforms and put them back on and represent this city the right way on Sunday. And what we got to worry about is find a way to win the game.
Get ready, baby! There's a new cat in the block. Jacksonville Jaguars.
Game day is underway. This is the Terminix Kickoff Show on 1010XL, live from Tailgaters Parking, presented by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade Fast Twitch. Here are your hosts, Hayes Carline and Mia O'Brien.
Man, oh man, if Dylan Pockett's Denmark can't get you fired up. I was ready to jump the gun and start talking before they even introduced us on the Terminix Kickoff Show, Hayes Carline, because, man alive, it may be dreary here at the stadium grounds outside of Everbank Stadium. The vibes may have been dreary for the last 4 weeks in Duval County, but it is a new day. It is a new month. Happy birthday, Trevor Lawrence, and hello to 1-0, because, that's the approach, Hayes Carline, that the 0-4 Jaguars have certainly said they have to take as they return home for only the second time this season with that 0-4 record.
Without a doubt. I mean, they've used up their mulligans. I mean, you hate to say that. You've only played 1 month of football, but at 0-4, you haven't eliminated yourself, but you've eliminated your mulligans. Today, it's got to start today. You got to get a win today. And if you can get a win today, you look at the path, and you can see a path back to relevancy for this club. But it's got to start today. And bottom line, no excuses today. The Colts are coming here very beat up. And obviously we know the historical trend of the Jaguars' dominance over Indianapolis here. So you got to get it done today. I mean, this is as must-win as it gets. If you go to 0-5, losing to a depleted Colts team, then you have to then any question is on the table.
Mia O'Brien alongside Hayes Carline. This is the Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade. Probably good if I mentioned that. Joining us here on set, the one, the only John O'Leary, keeping us on the air here live at Growler's Bar and Grill at Tailgaters Parking. Folks, if you're making your way down to the stadium, you're worried about the rain, look no further. Come on down. We are under a beautiful giant pavilion. There is plenty of cover. There's so many great vendors set up here. Our friend Chad will join us. The Brackish Vodka folks will be here. We'll get a chance to, of course, sample that and many of the other goodies that they have. So stop on by and say hi. We are with you until 10 a.m. As we get set for today's game, let's take a look back one last time at the Jaguars' 24-20 loss in Houston.
Rolling to the right is Stroud. Fires it toward the goal line. Touchdown for Dare Ogunbowale with 18 seconds left in the ball game. You called it, Tony, a play fake. They throw it to Ogunbowale, and the Texans have taken a lead on a 1-yard touchdown pass with 18 seconds left in this ball game.
If you thought former Jaguar Foley Fatukasi's revenge game would be the headliner, look no further. Hold my beer, Hayes Carlyon. It's former Jaguar Daria Gumbawale, the third-string running back who does score the game winner for the Texans with 33 seconds left. Look, we have belabored this game ad nauseum. And I've said it now not only on our airwaves here at the Superstation, I've gone on national radio and I've said it as well. The reality is as sour a taste as you Jaguar fans and the Jaguars themselves had in their mouths at the end of that 24-20 loss 1 week ago today. I left that locker room and I felt much more encouraged about the psyche of this team, and I have felt that way throughout the course of the week than I did 1 week earlier after they were bulldozed at the hands of the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Jaguars are much more talented than their record would reflect, and so they're cognizant of that, and I'm sure that does give them confidence that they can turn it around. Sunday was especially disappointing because the Texans played a lousy game, and that's one that if you can go to Houston and steal, it salvages your season. I mean, it certainly salvages your month, and you get your probably your hardest division game that you'll play all season. You get a win in that, everything that comes along with it. But again, they couldn't overcome the fact that the Texans committed a penalty basically on every other play. They couldn't overcome the fact that the Texans gifted them a touchdown on a fumbled punt. It was incredibly disappointing, and it speaks to the larger issue of why can this talented team not overcome adversity when it happens in a game. Again, I thought the defense played well enough to win, particularly being as undermanned as they were. You have to look at Trevor Lawrence. I mean, yes, it's we all want him to do great things, but it is just not happening. If you watch, obviously the missed touchdown throws against Houston. I just watched the Thursday night game between Kirk Cousins and Baker Mayfield, who no one believes either one of those guys are top 10 quarterbacks in this league. And to watch them play, it was just one game. I get that. But in watching it Thursday, it's like these two guys are eons above Trevor Lawrence right now in terms of ball placement, anticipation, running the operation, and it's just really disappointing. So it's got to start today. Maybe year 25 for Trevor Lawrence starts today with a big game. It's going to have to, and Mia, one good thing is he's been great against the Colts.
He has been great against the Colts, especially here at home where he is 3-0. The Jaguars have not lost to the Colts since Blake Bortles' rookie year, Hayes Carlyon. That was 10 years ago. So certainly the history is on the Jaguars side. Back to Trevor real quickly. I think that the biggest takeaway I've had watching other games of the National Football League and contrasting it to the Jaguars, to your point about the talent on paper and why is it not translating, so much of it is that it feels like pulling teeth. And I don't say that just because my mother's a dentist. It's just the reality of the situation. Trying to pick up 5 or 7 yards through the air has been a struggle for this team. And the answer, the criticism is why. What is so difficult about throwing a quick slant pass 5 yards up the field to Christian Kirk when a crossing route is arguably one of Trevor Lawrence's best throws in his repertoire? Why is it that the Jaguars have gone completely away from bubbles and screens? Is it solely because we in the media have critiqued them? Well, speaking of us in the media, one other big storyline besides Trevor Lawrence's misfires against the Houston Texans was the question of play calling, which I think Doug Peterson may or may not have finally let the cat out of the bag. Hayes Carlyon.
For what? I thought he called a great game. We as coaches, we can't go out there and make the plays, right? It's a two-way street. So, you guys can sit here and point the finger all you want, and that's fine. Point it right at me. I can take it. Okay? I can take it. Whatever you want to ask me, say, whatever, write, go ahead.
Which is, of course, fascinating just because of the contrast of a question that was asked earlier of Doug Peterson following Sunday's loss regarding the players having to play better, the coaches having to coach better. But when his offensive coordinator, the play caller, is questioned, Hayes Carlyon, suddenly we're on the defensive.
That's when the Mama Grizzly Bear is going to come out. And it happened with Doug. I mean, why he defends Press Taylor at every turn, we'll never know. I mean, it's just, you would think, having it doom him in Philadelphia, he would have learned from it, but he hasn't. And, it's one of those things. It's honestly, it's just sad. I mean, it's because it's on its way to sinking what should be a very good administration here. An administration and Doug Peterson that you feel like, okay, we've got our coach now for several years. And, I mean, now you're at a stage where you're probably a couple losses away from this thing ending. That's where this is. And I thought Sunday's loss was more on the players. I mean, again, particularly on Trevor Lawrence. You can certainly get into play calling and things like that as well. And I'm not going to argue. My biggest problem is it's just an obsolete offensive system. It's the Southwest glitch, where they were using some computer system from the 1980s that everybody else had moved on from. And not to pick on them, but it's sort of what it feels like. It just feels like what the Jaguars are running when you watch other teams in the NFL. It's just an antiquated system. It might have worked in 2017. It obviously worked in 2017. But, Joe Gibbs used to say this. The league changes 10% every year. So you're talking about 2017. That's a totally different league than where we are now in 2024. And Doug Peterson has not kept up with it. And so, again, it's one of those things that you hope they can turn it around. You hope they can find something. But I do worry that the system isn't a very good system anymore.
And, of course, then the question becomes, is the system failing the quarterback? Is this simply a Band-Aid on a bullet hole? Even if the Jaguars can get a victory today, can put a couple victories together back-to-back, can somehow turn the season around. But ultimately, if the quarterback and the offensive players regress because they are not keeping up with the National Football League and what their contemporaries are doing and what has success in the National Football League in 2024, then maybe it's just a short-term solution for a long-term problem. Of course, reports also surfaced earlier this week in light of some of those comments made post-game. Has Doug Peterson lost the locker room? He addressed that on Wednesday.
Yeah, I would know. I talk to these guys every day. I see them every day. And no, I have not lost the locker room. I think these guys have done everything I've asked. They continue to play and practice hard and battle and it's a good group. It's a good group. The right leaders in there, and they know what we need to do, and they're not making excuses for it, and I'm not going to make excuses, and we just got to go do it.
That is what the head coach had to say on Wednesday. He caught up with Frank Frangie of The Frangie Show on Friday, as he does each and every Friday with Coach Speaks, brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. Let's have a listen 48 hours after those comments. Big picture, how the head football coach of your Jacksonville Jaguars is feeling heading into this Week 5 showdown at the bank.
The coach speaks. Jaguars coach Doug Peterson joins Frank Frangie right now. Presented by Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors.
All right, time now to talk a little Jaguars football. The head coach Doug Peterson joins us with Frank Frangie on a Friday afternoon. Doug, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, Frank. Thank you again for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, big weekend here. I know you know Tom Coughlin and all that's happened here, and I know you understand the heritage of this place. I know you're excited about this too, and I'll bet your players are about finally getting home for a fun weekend, aren't they?
Absolutely. We've been on the road, for the last 2 weeks, and we had a long, week with the Monday night game and then a short week down to Houston. But we're excited to get back home and be in front of our fan base and look to get back in the winning column.
Doug, this has been so close, and I know finish is the big thing, and not just with our team, but all teams. But what do you say to your players? You're an eyelash. You've led 2 games in the fourth quarter. You've lost 3 games by like 12 points. I know you're close, and that's frustrating. What's the communication like between you and the players, given all of that?
Yeah, obviously coach talk is, we got to finish better. We got to, make plays and that's kind of the coach speak. And that's what we talk about during the week. But, really bottom line, Frank, is we just got to go out and do it now. I mean, we've been in position to make plays. We've been in position to create some takeaways. We've been in position to score more red zone touchdowns, and now it's just a matter of just going and doing it. And really, I think too, you got to have the mindset where enough is enough. You got to get a little bit ticked off, I think, obviously about where we are. 0-4, and get a little take it personal, and that's kind of been the message the last couple of days.
Doug, it's look, we all know, and it's widely known, and he knows too, that Trevor's missed some throws in the early part of the season. That's not a secret. And I know it's killing him too. I know it is. You're a quarterback's guy. What do you say to a quarterback? Because it's in there, but he has missed some throws. I don't think we know that. What do you say to a quarterback? How do you coach a quarterback in those moments?
Frank, it really, I think it's really a simple. I mean, I say simple, but it could be difficult. You just got to keep shooting. I think that's. You hear some of those great NBA shooters. They're gonna take 3-pointers and they're gonna miss their fair share of 3-pointers. But you know what? They keep shooting.
Yep.
And that's what you got to do with Trevor. You got to keep putting the ball in his hand. You still got to really kind of force him to keep throwing the ball down the field, and eventually those things are going to happen, and we're going to complete more of those balls, and we're going to feel a lot better about ourselves.
A lot of good things happened last week. Ventrell Miller and Monteric Brown have both been called into duty. Man, you've had a lot of injuries on that defensive side of the ball. But those guys have stepped up. I was really impressed with Ventrell and Monteric, and a lot of young guys have had to play and have played pretty well, I think, Doug.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Frank. And, Buster Monteric, he might be playing the best football on defense right now, player for player. And we just need more of that consistency, more of that type of play. When you watch Buster, he's in the right position. He's there to make plays, and that's what it's about. And he might not, be the most talented guy on the field, but you know what? He plays smart, and he plays savvy, and he knows where to be. And Ventrell's kind of the same way. Ventrell's kind of got that energy. He flies around, makes plays. He had some really good tackle for losses last week, and he still has some things to clean up. But really impressed with both of those two young players.
Doug, what do you see with the Colts? Obviously, you play them a lot. You play them twice a year. And so you guys are familiar with each other, like everybody in the division. Let's start with defense. What do you see when you look at the Colts defensively?
Yeah, I mean, it's a typical Gus Bradley defense, right? I mean, you can go all the way back to his days in Seattle when he was a coordinator there, and obviously when he was a head coach in Jacksonville, and places like that, the Vegas Raiders and stuff. I mean, it's a bend but don't break scheme, and he's not a guy that's going to try to trick you with a lot of disguise. He just lines up and play, and their guys play extremely well, and they play extremely hard, and that's what you see on tape. No matter who's in there, no matter if it's the starters or they're missing some guys too on defense. If it's their backups, then those guys are playing hard. And then you look offensively and. Not sure who's going to play at quarterback yet, but I would anticipate that maybe, Joe Flacco goes, just listening to some of the reports this week. But, hey, you got to be prepared for both. Anthony Richardson is a big, strong, physical guy with his legs and has a cannon for an arm. And then Joe Flacco can beat you from the pocket, which we found out last year. So, you got to be prepared for both. But, it's a great opportunity. We know them. It's a division AFC South opponent, and look, we just got to go take care of our business and focus on us and see what happens.
Oh, and I know you will, Doug, and I appreciate you spending some time with us. Look, enjoy your night tonight. We'll see you at the ballpark on Sunday. It's a special day for Jaguar people. Throwback uniforms, and do you like the unis, by the way? Do you like the uniforms? Do you like the way they look?
You know what? I do. I love the way they look. I love that Jaguar on the sleeve, and obviously I'm going to say congratulations to Coach Coughlin, and it's a great honor to him to be going into the Ring of Honor there in the stadium and to have a bunch of former players come back. It's going to be a great weekend.
There's no question about it. Doug, good luck on Sunday, man. See you then. We appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Frank.
And our thanks to Doug Peterson for joining the Frangie Show each and every Friday. That is brought to you by Renewal by Anderson. Speaking of Frank Frangie, he joins us coming up next live here on the Terminix Kickoff Show. Folks, once again, we are live at Growler's Bar and Grill here at Tailgaters Parking right outside Everbank Stadium. If you're looking for some cover, some shelter against, a little bit of drizzle weather, it's not downpouring right now.
It's nothing that's going to spoil your fun.
Right. It's not going to spoil your tailgate. So if you are making your way down to the stadium, you're okay for now. But if you do need heat shelter or maybe a cold beverage or two, pop on over, come over and say hi. We are live until 10 a.m. here. And, of course, the Jaguars do kick off against the Colts right here on the Superstation at 1 o'clock. You can get involved in the conversation at 641-1010. That is the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. We are also live at the MyBookie Digital Studio. Leave a comment, leave a score prediction. Frank Frangie comes up on the other side right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Injured in an accident that's not your fault? Don't worry, Zach's got your back. I'm Zach Von Rowan at Von Rowan Law, and over the past 20 years, I have fought to recover millions from my clients throughout Jacksonville. If you've been injured in an accident, have mounting medical bills, can't work, don't worry. Zach's got your back. I will fight for the compensation that you deserve and will be there every step of the way. Go to Zach'sGotYourBack.com to set up your free consultation with me today. Zach'sGotYourBack.com.
Hey, Jacksonville Koozies, it's me, Soccer Sam, for Salvatore's Pizza. Rochester, New York's favorite pizza is now open in Jacksonville, Florida, Tapestry Park at the Loft Hotel Plaza. Daily $10 deals, dine in with beer and wine, and delivery at salvatores.com. The famous Formoso family brings Salvatore's Pizza, Rochester's favorite pizza, including our 32-piece sheet pizza for your next event. Go with me, baby. Salvatores.com.
This college football season, we're celebrating more than touchdowns. It's time to honor playmakers of the classroom. Thanks to FIS and the College Football Playoff Foundation, Gator Bowl Charities is surprising 16 local teachers with $1,000 each week. Every honored teacher gets a special invitation to the Taxslayer Gator Bowl January 2nd to be celebrated on the field. Teachers from Clay, Duval, Nassau, and St. Johns County, grades K through 12 are eligible. Nominate a deserving teacher today and let's score big for education at TaxslayerGatorBowl.com.
Rascal Flats, Life is a Highway Tour 2025. Saturday, April 5th, 5-Star Veterans Memorial Arena.
The sound of that.
Country music's greatest vocal group, Rascal Flats. Back on the road. With special guests Lauren Elena and Chris Lane. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Rascal Flats Live.
She's very comfortable talking sports and hanging out with the boys.
Mia O'Brien here, still providing the best multimedia sports coverage in Northeast Florida on 1010XL radio, video, and social channels.
All things Mia are driven by Arlington Toyota.
Hello, I'm Jerry Holland, Duval County Supervisor of Elections. Are you ready for the presidential election? The clock is ticking. In Florida, you must register to vote 29 days before an election, which is Monday, October 7th. Please check your voter information before voting. If you've moved, visit us at northfloridavotes.com and update your address. Remember also, avoid the long lines on Election Day and vote early. Check your sample ballot for the nearest location. We'll see you at the polls.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. I've been playing and winning with PrizePicks, and you should too. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with more than 5 million active members. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch your winnings roll in. For instance, you think Justin Jefferson will get more than 83.5 yards next week? Or how about Travis Etienne? Maybe he'll rush for more than 75.5. Or how about Lamar Jackson getting more than 45.5 rushing yards? It's just that simple. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money as quickly as 15 minutes. Now, here's the best part. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy. That means your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code JAX, J-A-X, and get $50 instantly when you play $5. It's all there at PrizePicks. Run your game.
Introducing Gatorade Water. Alkaline and electrolyte infused for great taste. Gatorade Water, always in motion.
Find it at your local Winn-Dixie. For the athletes who give everything, nothing beats Gatorade, the studied, tested, and proven fuel of the world's greatest athletes. Gatorade Water, proudly supporting high school sports on the First Coast.
Hurricane season is here, and if you own or run a business, you must protect your valuable property from parking lot floods. Call Duck Duck Rooter, your storm drain maintenance experts. Our VACCON team specializes in regular storm drain maintenance to keep your property safe and secure. With Duck Duck Rooter, you can trust our professionals to keep your storm drains clear, preventing floods and ensuring the well-being of your customers and employees. Call us today at 904-862-6769 to schedule your storm drain maintenance. Visit DuckDuckRooter.com for more information.
Hey everybody, Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville here to say hello, and we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyriq.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
You just heard him speaking with the head coach, Doug Peterson. Now he joins us live on the Garber Auto Mall hotline on a game day in Duval. It is the voice of your Jacksonville Jaguars, Frank Frangie. Frank, I would ask, what are your vibes? But as we were just discussing, the Gators are 1-0 since the calendar flipped to October. Potentially the Jaguars could be in that same conversation. So I would think you're flying high on this Sunday morning, right?
Yeah, good morning, Mia. It's you and Hayes. I expect the Gators to win the rest of them. I think the Gators are on their way to 9-3, probably into the playoffs. It's going to be a hard day for Georgia and Texas when they play them. Hayes and I've had that talk a long time. So, yeah, how can you not be in a good mood when you're headed to that, Mia? Are you kidding me? Beautiful mood. Beautiful mood in October.
Yeah, because the Jaguars are also about to win out and go 13-4 the rest of the way, right, Frank?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Hey, what's the weather, by the way? Is it like in my house?
It's rainy. Yeah, you're probably going to drive through a bunch of rain, but it's not like monsoon rain.
Right.
So
it's
I mean,
dreary
it's just
here.
slick.
I'm looking,
yeah.
I'm looking outside. It's dreary, but not like storming. Is it storming down there?
No. There's no thunder, no lightning. It's just kind of a gloomy little rainy day, but nothing that's gonna spoil anybody's fun, I don't think.
Good. I can't wait to get down there, guys. And I'm looking forward to this game. I think it's an important game, as you guys I know have talked about already and will continue to. This is a special day, man. This is Tom Coughlin was a special dude and is a special dude. And those uniforms, they're the ones we love it. We get excited when we see them. So, and they haven't been home in a while. I know it's dreary out there, but ticket sales are good for this thing. And it's going to be a fun day down at the bank. I really believe that.
One thing that you could say, Frank, is that if the rain was to pick up a little bit, with no Jonathan Taylor for the Indianapolis Colts and with the Jaguars running game coming off of a 6.6 yard per carry performance, the Jaguars might actually be able to lean into and potentially have the advantage on the ground. Yes? No?
You know, maybe. We always talk about that, Mia. Who does the rain help the most? I was kind of hoping for a nice day, a pretty day out here, because I think the Jags throw it better than the Colts do, regardless of who plays quarterback for the Colts. I think the Jags will throw it better than them. So I think the Colts are more of a running team with or without Jonathan Taylor. I think that's how they're built. I think that's how they were built. They knew they would be built when they drafted Anthony Richardson. So I'd rather see a day to throw the football. But I will tell you this. On a day when it's dreary but not raining, like drizzly, that helps the passing game because the offensive guy knows where he's going. The defensive guy's on skates a little bit. So don't be surprised to see the ball there. Now, if it's a storm and a downpour, that's a different conversation, Mia. But I think if it's drizzly and like it looks like it is now, that's a better passing day than you would think. I think you'll see the ball in the air today. Maybe if Flacco plays, you're going to see the ball in the air both sides more than you would think.
I would agree with that, and there's very little wind right now, so I do think it's pretty conducive to the passing game. Frank, you mentioned Tom Coughlin earlier. Do you have a favorite Tom Coughlin story, or what was it like when he arrived and started building this thing? What was it like covering that?
Yeah, I loved it. He was the straightest shooter I ever dealt with. If you didn't ask a good question, he told you about it. If you asked the right question, he answered it honestly. He was probably the most honest guy that I ever dealt with, and I love that about him. When he got here, Hayes, we didn't know what to think. This guy was a taskmaster, man. They practiced hard, and he answered questions hard, and he walked around, and that scowl on his face was hard. And so what you knew about Tom Coughlin in the early days, man, this guy's hard. Well, then you got to know him. Then you realize how much he cared about those players. Then you realize how much he cared about winning. Then you realize when he started the foundation, the Tom Coughlin J Fund, how much he cared about people. So my rather than a story that jumps off the page, is just remembering learning who Tom was, this hard man, this tense man who had so much good and did so much good for this franchise. And I can't say this enough. And I know you guys know this, and everyone listening for the most part knows this. But he started this thing from scratch, and in 1 year had him in the AFC Championship game. 4 years later, they were probably the best team in the league. And look, the leagues benefited the expansion teams back then. They had some advantages that expansion teams wouldn't have again. But that doesn't matter. He found a way to do it. And the glory of all the 30 years of this franchise, Hayes, the real glory, the great, and look, 17 was a wonderful year. 07, they won a playoff game. There have been some other pockets, right? But the real glory of this franchise were those first 5 or 6 years. And there was a magic to it, man. There was a magic to that franchise. And that's the guy that made that magic happen. And that's how I'll always think of Tom Coughlin.
TC will rightfully, finally, be inducted into the Pride of the Jaguars at halftime of today's game. Frank Frangie will be on the call beginning at 1 o'clock with Tony Baselli, the Hall of Famer and fellow Pride of the Jaguars inductee, Jeff Lageman, and Bucky Brooks right here on the Superstation. Frank, back to the game itself. I know you alluded to it. The expectation is that Joe Flacco will get the start under center. Obviously, the Jaguars got the best of Anthony Richardson the one time they faced him last year. Cannot say the same for the one time they faced Joe Flacco, albeit with him in a Cleveland Browns uniform 1 season ago. What do you make of that matchup, especially for a Jaguars secondary that, while it certainly had bright spots against Houston last week, did give up 345 passing yards?
Yeah, I think one of the reasons is Houston was playing from behind. I don't think the secondary is as big a concern to me as the pass rush, Mia. They're not affecting the passer. Josh Hines Allen had a huge year last year with the 17.5 sacks, and Trayvon Walker did it with 10. The pass rush hasn't affected the passer a lot. That's my biggest concern, the edge position. They don't have any true backup edges. So the backup ends are Roy Robertson-Harris and Eric Armstead, who are tackles by trade. And so my biggest concern is the pass rush more than it is the secondary. But I think they've got a better team than the Colts, and I think they're at home. The Colts have won a couple games, but the Colts are beat up. They're down a lot of starters on both sides of the ball, as you know. I think the Jags should be okay in this game. I think they'll defend the Colts. Yeah, Flacco's a check-down guy. He's a system guy. And when things are going well, and they were going well for the Browns last year and not going very well for the Jaguars, well, you saw that. I think if it goes the other way, I think the Jags will be okay. I think the key to this game, and I think the key to their season, I think the key to the turnaround is not what they do on defense. Believe it or not, I think it's not. It's they got to get Trevor Lawrence going. We can talk forever about this matchup and that matchup. Trevor's a 63% career passer. This year he's completed 53% of his passes. And I'm a big Trevor fan, and Trevor wants it so bad, Mia, and he cares so much, and it means so much to him, and he's such a good teammate. But he would tell you he's not playing very well. And you can't win in today's NFL with a 53% passer. I think we all know if he hits those 2 long ones last week, they probably win the game, and the whole narrative about the team is different. So they'll defend Flacco okay, I think. I think how well they play today, how good their schedule is as they move forward with 3 kind of winnable games here, comes down to how 16 plays. I really believe that.
Frank, what are your expectations for the Etienne-Bigsby combo today?
Well, you got to run it. You got to run it some. I mean, I think you're not going to be able to protect him at all, even with Kwity Paye out and DeForest Buckner not playing. You're not going to be able to protect your quarterback if you don't run it some. I think you're going to continue to see more Etienne than Bigsby. I think that's how they're built. I think that's how they want to play. But obviously, Bigsby had the 2 explosives last week. He's their downhill runner. To your question, Hayes, we talked about this a minute ago. If it's like really rainy, like if they're playing in a storm and you have to run the ball, well, then I think you're going to see a bunch of both of them. But my guess is this team is still built around Travis Etienne. Now, the more Bigsby plays, I love Bigsby. I love it when he's in there. I think he's their downhill runner. But I still think you're going to see more Etienne than you're going to see Bigsby this game plays out. I think that's just who they are. And Travis Etienne is a good player. Bigsby's a downhill guy, but I think you'll see more of number 1 than number 4 today.
Couple more for Frank Frangie on the Garber Auto Mall hotline here on the Terminix Kickoff Show. Frank, I do think that when you noted all of the Colts players who have already been ruled out for this game or are on the injury report, I think the one name we really aren't talking about that could perhaps make the biggest difference is Kenny Moore II, arguably the most reliable defensive back for the Colts. Not having him out there, he has already been ruled out for this game. What sort of opportunities can that create for the Jaguars passing game, and specifically some of those players who line up in the slot?
I agree with you. He's their leader back there, too. He's 29 years old. He's in his 8th year in the league, Mia. So you're right about that. Kenny Moore, and that's a great point. I think not having him is really going to affect them. If you combine not having probably their best secondary player, they have a young defense now. If you combine not having their best secondary player with not having one of the best tackles in the league still in DeForest Buckner, without having Kwity Paye, who had such a fantastic year for them last year, look, they're down a bunch of guys. So, yes, you can attack them. But, again, Jacksonville's got to get the quarterback going. They've got to get the offense going. I don't know if Ingram's a game-time decision, but everything you hear is that he may not play. So if they're not going to have Ingram, then who do you go to? I thought the fact for me that they got Ingram, that they got Christian Kirk going last week was really important. They got to get him going. Brian Thomas Jr., I think, is their number one. It seems crazy, doesn't it? That 4 games in, your number one's a rookie, but I think that's in my mind, he's their number one guy. But they've got to get Christian Kirk going. But, yeah, I think you can attack the Colts more when their best secondary guys out. No question about it.
Frank, you were a big fan of Ventrell Miller when the Jaguars selected him. Fantastic game last week. What are your expectations for Ventrell, who probably has to have another big role today?
Yeah, my guess is if Devin Lloyd's able to play, and I think my guess is he will, they'll rotate those 3 guys. I think Lloyd and Muma, my guess is, will start the game, and Ventrell will play a whole lot. I'd have trouble taking Ventrell off the field personally. I think he's that good of a player. But what he gives them, Hayes, is speed. He gives them a burst. The great linebacker, if you watch the great linebackers in the league, those 2 linebackers in Kansas City who don't get nearly enough attention can really run. A guy like Patrick Queen can really run. The linebackers who run like defensive backs. You know, when you have one of those guys, Derek Brooks was that guy. Kevin Hardy here was that guy. When you have those linebackers that run like defensive backs, that changes how you play defense. Well, Ventrell Miller is the only guy we've had here like that in a while. Foye Oluokun is a fantastic player. Devin Lloyd is a big physical player who's been a better middle linebacker than he was a weak side linebacker. Ted Moon is a good tackler. But we haven't had that guy that can run, man. The guy that can run like defensive backs, like some of those teams have. Well, Ventrell's that guy, Hayes. He can really run. He's got to stay healthy. That's his bugaboo. But I think you'll see a lot of him. And listen, he's one of those guys that when he's on the field, you see him a lot. You know what I mean? Some guys, when they're on the field, you just notice them a lot. They don't just make tackles. They make unassisted tackles, and they make tackles in the backfield. And you see the burst. And I think he's that guy. So my guess is Lloyd, Muma, and Ventrell, those 3 guys will alternate at those 2 positions today, and you'll see a bunch of all of them.
And you will hear from Ventrell Miller coming up next on the Terminix Kickoff Show right here on 1010XL 92.5 FM. We're also going to debut a new segment, Frank, Our X Factors. I ask you each and every week on the Garber Auto Mall hotline your X Factor, and I will hear momentarily. Hayes and I will also give ours. But before we do, lead us off. For the Colts, for the Jaguars, who is the biggest difference maker for each side?
For the Jaguars, I'm going to say the 2 ends. I'm going to say Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen have to have a big game. I'm guessing it's going to be Flacco. Again, no one's announcing anything. And I think the way you change Flacco is you get him off his spot. I mean, Joe's a good player, but he's been in the league 100 years. He's a veteran guy. He doesn't move around like he once did. So I think without question for me, those are without question the 2 important guys. And then obviously for the Colts, it's Flacco. I think he's going to play. I think he changes you because he doesn't mess up very much. These veteran guys, you know why the Panthers are suddenly a little bit better? Not because Andy Dalton's great, Mia, but because he doesn't mess up. Those veteran guys don't mess up. The Vikings are 4-0 right now, not because Sam Darnold is all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers. It's because he doesn't mess up very often. Well, Flacco's a guy that's not going to mess up very often. So you got to get him off his spot. So the 2 X factors are kind of the same theme for me. Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker have to affect Joe Flacco, assuming he plays. And for the Colts, if Flacco plays one of those clean, efficient games, that's bad news for the Jags. I think it's all about that. I really do.
It's a fascinating matchup, Frank, because, of course, Trevor Lawrence also going against a Gus Bradley defense that, needless to say, you have to take what they give you, which often means clean, short, passes, 12 to 15 plays up and down the field in order to score. So it'll be a fascinating matchup. Could be a high-scoring affair, but if both quarterbacks play clean, we will see what happens in this one. Frank, thank you as always for joining us on the Garber Auto Mall Hotline.
Okay, me and Hayes. Take care. Thank you.
There he goes, Frank Frangie, the voice of your Jacksonville Jaguars. He, of course, will be on the call beginning at 1 o'clock today with the Hall of Famer Tony Baselli, Jeff Lageman, and Bucky Brooks right here on the Superstation. We still have so much to do. I hinted at it to Frank. We will hear from Ventrell Miller, the Jaguars linebacker, as well as our X-Factors for this matchup and a whole lot more, beginning with that all-important Farrah injury update. We know, we've already heard from some of you on the text line, Design My Lifetime Enclosures, you want the very latest, who is in, who is out for the Jags and the Colts. Let's do that coming up next right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
We got a great show for you today.
Join the 1010XL Podcast Network.
A big show.
Now you can find all your favorite 1010XL podcasts in your platform of choice.
A king-size show.
Navy Mutual was created by service members for service members, so we know what it means to serve. Our policies have no active duty service restrictions, so you can rest assured that you're covered no matter your duty station, home or abroad. To go even further, we promise that premiums will not be higher for those who serve in dangerous environments, including aviation, diving, or on deployments. Let us help you protect those you love the most. Learn more at NavyMutual.org.
It only takes a drop of water to cause someone to slip and fall, but it takes a lot more to prove that your injuries were the result of negligence. The store said the floor was dry. Our investigators learned that on the day of the accident, it had been raining.
So the next time it rained, we went back. And guess what? Rainwater was dripping from the ceiling exactly where our client was injured. When you're in for the fight of your life, investigators with 30 years of experience is a good thing. Farrah, Jacksonville.
Every week, we're seeing listeners cash in betting with MyBookie. Mia here, and look, you don't have to bet big. Just getting some skin in the game makes it so much more fun. This weekend, your hometown team is actually favored to beat the Colts, -3. What a world! This may be one of those reverse jinx games where I bet the Colts to win, and if they don't, I'm still happy. The Bills play the Texans, and the Stephon Diggs revenge game sure sounds like a shootout, so give me the over on the 47.5 game total over there. And on Sunday night, the Cowboys are 2.5-point road dogs traveling to Pittsburgh. I'll take the Cowboys with the points. No way they start 2-3, right? The MyBookie double deposit bonus is still live up to $1,000. Get signed up now using promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit. Double your money with promo code 1010XL before you even place a bet. One more time, promo code 1010XL. Bet on anything, anytime, anywhere at MyBookie.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called the Vault. Enter today at everbank.com/shadows. One winner and a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry periods for the Shadow Sweepstakes promotion from 8/19/24 to 12/15/24. For official rules and complete details, visit everbank.com/shadows. Sponsored administrator, Everbank N.A. member FDIC.
Keeping up with Seminole Nation.
Join the Noles and their road to repeat as ACC champs.
Stay close to the Seminoles with the Florida State Seminole Report. Brought to you by your local Ag Pro, your home team on 1010XL.
When pests invade your space, you don't just need them out, you need them out fast. And you need to keep them out. At Terminix, we show up for you and eliminate pests quicker because we care about what matters most to you. When pests show up, so do we. Don't live with a pest problem. Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com. Terminix it.
This election, if you want someone who will take care of the messes, someone who isn't afraid to get dirty and work in the trenches, someone who will pump out the problems and prevent future ones, vote for the Duck.
Need your septic tank serviced? Call DuckDuckRooter, your 5-star Google-rated septic company. Visit DuckDuckRooter.com.
I approve this message.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. DuckDuckRooter.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. The personal injury attorneys of Farah & Farah present this injury update. Farah & Farah.
Jacksonville.
Exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Let's begin with a double dose of good news for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Number one, no players were ruled out from Friday's injury report. Second, late yesterday, we received word that Josh Hines-Allen has indeed passed through the concussion protocol. He no longer carries an injury designation. He is expected to be a full go for today's game against the Colts. Those players, though, that are listed as questionable. Devin Lloyd, who, as you heard Frank Frangie mention in the last segment, he was a healthy, or not a healthy scratch. Words are hard this morning. It's still early, Hayes Carline and John O'Leary. Devin Lloyd was a game-time scratch because of a knee injury. He did not practice on Wednesday. He was limited in practice Thursday and Friday. He is questionable for today's contest, as is Darnell Savage, who has missed each of the last 3 games with a quad injury, although it did sound like Doug Peterson a bit more optimistic about Savage than he was about Evan Ingram, who also has missed each of the last 3 games with a hamstring injury. He also carries a questionable injury designation, as does Yasir Abdullah with a neck injury. And a late addition to the injury report, Daniel Thomas popping up on Friday as a limited participant in practice with a hamstring injury. He missed the first game of the season also with a hamstring injury, or not hamstring, with a lower leg injury. A lot of injuries to get to, Carline. I'm not going to lie. 2022 under Doug Peterson, very, very healthy. Last year, certainly the injuries crept up later in the year. A bit unusual for the Jaguars to be facing this much attrition so early on.
Yeah, and Evan Ingram is certainly the one that I think is the most concerning. And it's great Hines-Allen that's going to be able to play, because to come back, not miss a game from a concussion, everything has to go right for you in the protocol that week. And so obviously it did. That's great news for Josh, and it'll be awesome to see him out there. But Evan Ingram, obviously, it seems like he's probably not going to be active today. So, again, as your quarterback is struggling, that's a concern, because obviously he just has such a great rapport with Ingram. Brenton Strange has been good. He's been better maybe than what we expected, but he's not, and it's not fair that he should be on the level with Evan Ingram yet. And so, again, if Ingram is inactive, how does Lawrence try to find some success in the seam and in the middle of the field, without Evan Ingram? Because right now he's been sorely missed.
Meanwhile, for the Indianapolis Colts, we already told you 3 players ruled out on Friday by head coach Shane Steichen. That includes the defensive back, the nickelback All-Pro Kenny Moore, defensive end Kwity Paye, and of course, and perhaps we really have buried this lead, Hayes Carline, so far in today's program. Jonathan Taylor did not practice all week with a high ankle sprain, and the lead tailback is out for today's contest.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor is one of the best in the league. You're talking about a guy, 72 carries, 349 yards, 4.8 a pop with 4 touchdowns. So, he has been sensational. To not have him. The other thing, too, with that, it's sort of a double-edged sword for the Colts, because his absence is compounded by the fact last year you had Zach Moss, who is he's an unbelievable backup. He's a pretty good starter in this league. So Indianapolis doesn't have that surplus like they have had in the past. Trey Sermon, we're expecting, will get the bulk of the work, but he has shown no signs of being an impactful player in this league. So not having Taylor, if you're the Jaguars, if you're Ryan Nielsen, you got to think that magic number in terms of rushing, again, with Joe Flacco probably under center, hold these guys to under 60 on the ground. I think that should be a very attainable number. If they're able to do that, they're going to win the game.
Especially when you couple that with the fact that both tackle Braden Smith and this is one I want to get your take on, Hayes Carline, center Ryan Kelly, both those players are questionable. Ryan Kelly did not practice all week, and now he's a veteran center. He has been a stalwart on that Colts offensive line. But if you're without your starting center, or at the very least he hasn't practiced all week, and so he's a little rusty, he's a little beaten up, and you don't have that lead tailback, I would think that that's an opportunity for the Jaguars as well.
This is a no-excuses game. If you can't hold this Indianapolis offense to a very meager number today, what are we doing? What else do you need? Do we need, the Colts to only bring half their team here? to hold. And I think the Jaguars will. But my goodness, if they're unable to do it, if you look up at the end of this day and the Colts are somewhere in the high 20s, that's just ridiculous. I wouldn't think Kelly plays. I mean, coaches usually certainly have guys. He would be qualified. I'm sure Shane Steichen's like, look, if he's cleared, we're playing him even if he didn't practice all week. But it's if a player can't do anything by Friday, very difficult for them to be active for the game. So, yes, I mean, what else do you need? They probably aren't going to have a standout center. We know they're not going to have a standout running back. I think their starting quarterback isn't very good, but they are down their starting quarterback. I mean, what else do you need to hold this offense to a very small number?
Anthony Richardson was indeed downgraded to doubtful for today's game. That is why, as we have speculated and assumed all program thus far, Joe Flacco will get the start under center for the Colts. One guy who's obviously going to try to attack whoever the opposing quarterback is, but a little disappointed he won't get to take down one of his former teammates is none other than former Florida Gator Ventrell Miller. I caught up with the second-year linebacker earlier this week. Pleased to be joined with Jaguars linebacker Ventrell Miller. Ventrell, happy Wednesday. We just were discussing your Florida Gators back in action on Saturday.
Happy Wednesday. Yeah, I'm excited to look forward to them boys beating up on UCF this week. So, and us going to get a win as well. So double. Yeah, double up.
That's the spirit. I talked to you in Houston after the game, and obviously a lot of positive returns from your first start. But I think what a lot of us didn't realize was the halftime speech that now we've heard about from a couple of players. Can you describe what exactly compelled you to give the speech you did?
I just feel like just a natural leader. So if I'm saying something, it's just me to speak. And like I said, just halftime, I just came in and challenged the guys to come out and just to be better on third downs and be better on defense. And like I said, they accepted that challenge, and they did a great job coming out second half.
What other sort of adjustments do you think you guys made in the second half that works that maybe you can carry over to this game?
Really just finishing, I say, finishing the win your one-on-ones, win your matchups, whatever that is, especially on third downs. I say the big emphasis was on third downs, just getting off the field on third downs. And like I said, just winning extra strength just to win your matchup on third down when it means the most. So.
You had 2 tackles for loss, probably should have had 3. We won't talk about that penalty. For you, what is it like when you pull someone down behind the line of scrimmage?
It feels a little better. You can get your little celebration in there, I say, but it always feels good to get a tackle for loss. Get them behind the line. It starts your second down behind the line of scrimmage. So second and long is always good. A third and long, so it's always a good feeling just that I help the defense.
I know Travis said to us he loved your halftime speech, your energy, how you play the game. How do you feel like the defensive side of the ball and the offensive side of the ball in a tough spot like this? Maybe you guys have fed off each other's energy as you try to turn this thing around.
I feel like you have to feed off your teammates, just the passion that the other guys are playing with. Other guys will see that, and it's just, I say, infectious. I say when you other people have juice or it means something to somebody, you want to go out there and do the best you can to not let anyone down. I say so. That's what I feel like.
So we don't know just yet who will be playing quarterback. Anthony Richardson. When I say AR, you say
15. I love it. But I need to start saying that. I think they said he ain't like that no more. They had to start saying that. But AR5 now, I say. But hopefully he's playing. It'd be good to go against a former teammate. Give him a bet. I'm trying to go sack him still, though. That's the plan. But it'd be good to see him play. But if he don't, still, yeah, good opportunity.
How do you prepare for 2 quarterbacks who I'd argue are probably 2 polar opposites, right, in terms of their playing style?
It's a game plan for both quarterbacks, depending on who we're playing. But we put it in the game plan for both quarterbacks. So we got some things that we might do with this quarterback or the other one. So it's pretty similar, but we just got some small things that might change depending on the quarterback.
For you guys, what is the number one thing that needs to be implemented on Sunday to get that first win of the season?
I'd say just starting fast, aggressive, and just keeping that same energy the whole game. So it shouldn't have to be like a halftime speech. If you just up from the first quarter all the way to the last and finishing the game, I'd say.
I'll end by saying this. I know last week in the locker room it felt a little bit quiet. I mean, you guys today, I know it's a tight spot, but it feels like the vibes are a little bit higher, the spirits are higher. Do you think it's just by virtue of recognizing, hey, we've been right there in 3 of these 4 games?
Right, definitely been getting tested. We've been on the other side of the gate though, but I mean we just right there. So I think that's an encouragement to everybody just to finish a little bit harder, just do a little bit more. That's just the message that I say. Just win your one-on-one, win every rep. That's the motto that's been going around here. So, and I say, and everybody's been going with it. I say, just based off the energy.
And the Gators will get a win on Saturday if
the Gators get. We just go out there and execute. That's all it comes down to. Just executing, flying around, playing fast. Yeah.
Sure, appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Not going to lie, I knew when we taped that interview Wednesday, I'm like, oh boy, Mia, this is a bit of a gamble here, asking him about the Gators when we know this interview is going to air on Sunday. But the Gators got the win last night. Ken Ventrell-Miller's Jacksonville Jaguars get the win here on Sunday. Ventrell is certainly an X factor for me. Let's debut this new segment, Hayes Carline. Cue up the music, Dylan Denmark. Back at 1010XL World Headquarters. The X factor for the Jacksonville Jaguars, if they are to get a win here on Sunday, Hayes Carline, is...
I hate to go chalk. It's Trevor Lawrence. Because you have to hit open receivers. When there are touchdowns to be had, those have got to be hit. It is happening far too frequently, and it's killing this team. It is killing this team. And you just have to have a sense. The great quarterbacks know if you go into that game 0-3, I cannot have a bad day today. And they don't. And Trevor Lawrence had an atrocious day. So I hate to go chalk, but Trevor Lawrence has got to find himself, find his accuracy, and whatever mistakes he's making with these passes that are wide open, he has got to get it together today. Nothing will deflate this building faster than Trevor Lawrence overthrowing a wide-open receiver early in this game.
Happy birthday, by the way, Trevor.
Yeah, happy birthday.
753 on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Maybe the O-line can give him time for a birthday present. I don't think that was so much of an issue against the Houston Texans, Hayes Carline.
It wasn't. I mean, again, hit the pass to Kirk, hit the pass to Thomas, and you're somewhat back on track. You just can't miss those throws. Not when the team's 0-3. You cannot have that game if you're somebody that the franchise is committed $200 million in guaranteed money to. So again, hopefully he plays well today. Obviously, he's got a good history against Indianapolis. But to me, that's the biggest X factor. If Trevor Lawrence hits his throws today, it should be a really fun day here for Tom Coughlin, for this great fan base. But, I mean, I am concerned because I don't know that – I can't just keep giving him the benefit of the doubt that this generational prospect is going to start playing at an elite level, because he's got to hit a couple tiers, just to start building. Can we get to tier of just being respectable? That completion percentage number, 53%, that should keep him up at night. It's so dreadful. So, again, to me, it all starts there. I think obviously there's a lot of X factors, a lot of storylines to this game, but Trevor Lawrence has got to hit the plays that are there today for this Jaguars organization.
Co-signed, and I'm sure all of our listeners out there in Duval couldn't agree with your passionate response and passionate X Factor even more than you already alluded to, Hayes Carline. For my X Factor, I noted Ventrell-Miller. I think Travis Etienne did the heavy lifting for me. Here is who he noted as his 3 players of the game from last week, who I believe need to be X Factors this week. Okay, hold on. We're still waiting on that soundbite, but let's stick with the one. We know Ventrell-Miller for certain is one of those players who we know that made an impact on Sunday in his first career start. He's someone who, as Travis Etienne, you'll hear from here momentarily, noted, is a guy who brought the juice and brought the energy. It's a big reason why I think that I came out of that locker room Sunday a lot more optimistic than 1 week prior in Orchard Park. Travis Etienne, who should the game ball have gone to last week, and therefore my 3 X Factors this week?
For sure. You see guys celebrating first downs. I feel like you love to see that energy. I love Ventrell. I feel like just seeing him out there making plays just kind of brings the offense energy. I just love the way he plays. He just plays the game like with a swagger. You can tell he loves football, and I love seeing him out there make plays. And he definitely gave us a lot of energy. BT, I love BT. He going out there making plays for us. Tank, he did a hell of a job today. And you just got to rally around those guys. Whenever those guys making plays, it's on us to make them better. You know, we got to come in here and we got to finish. We got our players playing well, and we got to help them as the guys who've been here a couple of years and just find a way to get it done.
Ventrell Miller, Brian Thomas Jr., Tank Bigsby, all young players, all made an impact last week, much like we saw with the Florida Gators last night, much to some extent we saw with the Florida State Seminoles. When the going gets tough, lean into those young guys who are making plays, who are playing for the love of the game. Not to say the veterans aren't, Hayes Carlyon, but those young guys can truly be the spark plug that gets everything going. And so I am putting my X factor on Ventrell Miller, Brian Thomas Jr., Tank Bigsby for a second straight week.
Yeah, I love all three of those selections. And, you know, the Brian Thomas thing has been really interesting because the conversation has been, well, is he the one? Should they need to treat him like the one? I mean, you couldn't agree more with that. He's entering this week. He's 14th in the league in receiving yards. He is a one. He is a one right now. And it's not like up for interpretation. The numbers tell you. I mean, if you're top 15 in receiving yards in this league, at least for here
at 21
now,
years old,
yeah, you are the one. And so, yeah, absolutely. Let's unleash it. Let's see 15 targets today to Brian Thomas Jr. We all appreciate Christian Kirk, and you know, we'll see about, you know, Gabe Davis as he kind of launches his career here, but Brian Thomas is sensational. So, I mean, that's got to be the focal point. Now, maybe he'll hit a wall and you'll have to adjust, but until you see any signs of that, Brian Thomas is this offense.
And of course,
I mean, that's where it needs to start.
It'll be fascinating to see going up against the zone-heavy defense of Gus Bradley as well, if Brian is able to exploit that. Because as of right now, he and Christian Kirk are both top 10 in the league in creating separation in man-to-man coverage. Still a whole lot to get to as we make the turn for hour number 2 of the Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade. Our keys to the game, brought to you by Instant Keys, are coming up next right here on the Superstation, 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Hey, Jacksonville Koozies, it's me, Soccer Sam, for Salvatore's Pizza. Rochester, New York's favorite pizza is now open in Jacksonville, Florida, Tapestry Park at the Loft Hotel Plaza. Daily $10 deals, dine in with beer and wine, and delivery at salvatores.com. The famous Formoso family brings Salvatore's Pizza, Rochester's favorite pizza, including our 32-piece sheet pizza for your next event. Go with me, baby. Salvatores.com.
This college football season, we're celebrating more than touchdowns. It's time to honor playmakers of the classroom. Thanks to FIS and the College Football Playoff Foundation, Gator Bowl Charities is surprising 16 local teachers with $1,000 each week. Every honored teacher gets a special invitation to the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl January 2nd to be celebrated on the field. Teachers from Clay, Duval, Nassau, and St. Johns County, grades K through 12 are eligible. Nominate a deserving teacher today and let's score big for education at TaxSlayerGatorBowl.com.
Rake in the savings this fall with Universal Roof and Contract. Enjoy 15% off all roof repairs and replacements with financing options as low as $115 a month. Protecting your home has never been easier. Schedule your free roof inspection today. Call 855-ROOF-HELP. This offer expires October 31st. Protect your home and your wallet. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com. Hello, I'm Jerry Holland, Duval County Supervisor of Elections. Are you ready for the presidential election? The clock is ticking. In Florida, you must register to vote 29 days before an election, which is Monday, October 7th. Please check your voter information before voting. If you've moved, visit us at northfloridavotes.com and update your address. Remember also, avoid the long lines on Election Day and vote early. Check your sample ballot for the nearest location. We'll see you at the polls.
Sports talk sometimes gets confusing. I'm Hayes Carlyon, here to clean up the confusion. Join me afternoons on The Frangie Show for Cleaning Up with Hayes, brought to you by Molly Maid on 1010XL.
Hey, it here for America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with more than 5 million active members. It's Prize Picks. Listen, all you got to do is pick more or less on 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 player stat projections, and then watch the winnings roll in. Heck, you can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Here's what you do. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. And Prize Picks always offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineup. Hey, you think Justin Jefferson is going to have more than 83.5 receiving yards, or Patrick Mahomes will throw for less than 267.5 passing yards? Cook up hot takes with Prize Picks. Run your game.
Bold City AC, keeping you cool.
Feeling the heat, Jacksonville? Cool down with Bold City Heating and Air. From repairs to energy-efficient installs, we do it all. Family-owned and trusted since 2016, we offer clear pricing, NATE-certified techs, and unbeatable service. Call Bold City Heating and Air today and experience the bold difference.
Bold City AC, keeping you cool. Bold City AC.
Visit boldcityac.com.
Rascal Flats, Life is a Highway Tour 2025. Saturday, April 5th, 5-Star Veterans Memorial Arena.
The sound of that.
Country music's greatest vocal group, Rascal Flats. Back on the road. With special guests Lauren Elena and Chris Lane. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Rascal Flats Live.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Dandy subs and sandwiches. Look, we always want you to think about those great options as you're driving around Duval. But the beauty is, even as I'm dropping pounds, Dandy's got great options for me as well. Told you all about their protein packs, delicious salads that they have out there. They have fruit cups for on the go. You know what they have. Veggie snack trays. You can grab those on the go as well. Perfect, healthy snack. Dandy is the name to know when you're on the go. So stop into a Gate store anywhere around Duval and make yours a dandy, and do it today.
Being an athlete means having a healthy desire to do as much as you can with your body for as long as you can. Gatorade has lower sugar, electrolyte-backed hydration options to keep you rehydrated and replenished. Gatorade, for every athlete.
From Gatorade Zero to Gatorade Endurance Formula and Gator Light, there's something for every athlete. Find it at your local Winn-Dixie. It's a win-win. Gatorade, official partner of the NFL.
This is the flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM and FM, Jacksonville Beach. 1010XL, home sweet home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the keys to the game. Brought to you by Instant Keys. Fast, professional, honest locksmith service.
Hour number 2 of the Terminix Kickoff Show live at Tailgaters Parking and Growler Bar and Grill. Hayes Carline, Mia O'Brien. Let's get right after it, Carline. For me, one of the biggest keys to this game is something we've already hit on a little bit, the middle of the field. We have heard, per reports, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler most notably, that the expectation is that Evan Ingram will not be active for this game. This would then be the 4th game that he has missed for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's Press Taylor earlier in the week on how not having Evan Ingram has affected the Jaguars' ability to attack the middle of the field.
Yeah, obviously, I think one of the big parts is Evan's such a energy giver for our group. Just the way he plays, the energy he plays with, the energy on the sidelines in practice, that enthusiasm is a big thing. So I think we've, to an extent, missed that. Now we have other guys that step up into that role and do a good job. And then just Evan's production through his time here is something obviously you're going to miss. Now we're very happy with Brenton's progression, the way he stepped into that role, being able to use Luke a little bit more here and there. But anytime you're missing a great player, obviously it's going to impact you in some way, shape, or form.
You mentioned it, Hayes. Brenton Strange has done a serviceable job, but the reality is he's not a guy who came one catch shy of setting the all-time single-season mark for receptions by a tight end in a single season last year. And so for me, knowing that the Colts are also without Kenny Moore, not that Kenny Moore wouldn't necessarily be matched up with Evan Ingram, I wouldn't think. He certainly would have been matched up with Christian Kirk. This is an opportunity for Kirk to truly have his biggest game of the season so far.
Yeah, without a doubt. I love that because they really do need to attack the middle of the field more. And obviously not having Ingram, it does make it complicated. But you can't just go away from it, which is what's happened. And
which is what they did last year, too, by the way, when Christian Kirk went down.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I think that's a big key. And that sort of leads into my key, which is third down. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, this team, I get, yes, they haven't had Evan Ingram. But you're 30th in this league in third down percentage with, I think, a pretty talented group of players. I mean, the Jaguars are converting 25% of their third downs this season. That's vomitous. And, now you're facing a Colts defense where they're terrible on third down. I mean, they're giving up 49.2%. They rank 29th in the league defensively stopping teams on third down. So you've got a horrible third down offense going up against a horrible third down defense. The Jaguars have got to have a number that's in that high 40s% today, I think, to be successful. I think they can do it, but boy, third down, the Jaguars have got to figure out why they have been so miserable and staying on the field.
Could Tank Bigsby be the answer on third down? I know we just heard Frank Frangie, the voice of your Jaguars, say he expects Travis Etienne to still be the featured back and more number 1 than number 4. But certainly, as we now hear from Doug Peterson, this team has trust in Tank Hayes, and we've talked at length about him being that thunder that, especially on third and short, the Jaguars may benefit from.
He's been doing a good job, continues to improve. It's not that we don't have trust in Tank. TJ, D'Ernest, guys like that just have done it longer, have done it more. Tank just continues to see everything and process everything, but he's done a great job for it.
I think Tank Bigsby's been a really excellent bright spot. And, yeah, absolutely. It does feel like, are they maybe starting to find some momentum on the short yardage stuff that's been dreadful for so long, for years. And, so that gives me some hope. So, yeah, I'd like to see Tank Bigsby get more involved. And, again, it's nothing against Etienne. I think he's a very good player. But I think they've got two guys. Look at what Detroit does, Detroit doesn't have.
You can have two great running backs.
They just
it can
embrace.
Coexist.
Correct. It's not if you use one, it's a negative on the other.
Right.
You incorporate them both, and for whatever reason, it does feel like there's a little bit of that here, where they're not quite ready to give Bigsby that kind of a promotion, and de-emphasize Etienne a little bit. But that's what they need to do. I mean, you need to model. This might not be the last time we say this over the next 3 or 4 months, but you need to take what the Lions are doing and bring it here.
I do think that you also can have both players on the field at the same time, because I don't know, when I went back and I watched the tape from the last time the Colts came to Jacksonville, Hayes, darned if I may, Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby were in the backfield together, and Tank Bigsby took a direct snap and handed it off to Travis Etienne. Now, I'm not saying that you should do exactly what you did last year, but the point is, whether it's Etienne flexing out into a wide receiver position, especially on third down, one of two things that Urban Meyer was right about, the facilities for training here in Jacksonville and how futile they were when he was here, and number 2, that Travis Etienne can be a capable third down back in the receiving game, even if that also means he can also be a featured first and second down running back. Those two things can also coexist. One more from me, Hayes, as we look at these keys to the game, brought to you by Instant Keys. Gus Bradley's defense. I actually think, even beyond the fact that he is 3-0 at home against this defense, he is 4-2 all time against this defense. I think it's exactly what the doctor ordered for Trevor Lawrence, because right now what he needs is easy, intermediate, crossing routes, screen passes, 5, 6, 7 yard completions. It's not sexy. He was the first to admit after the Jaguars beat the Colts, they shut them out here at home in 2022. Trevor Lawrence said it's difficult. You want to push the ball downfield. You want to take shots. That is not, as Doug Peterson alludes to, that is not what this defense offers you, and you have to take what they present.
There's no surprises. Schemes like this are tough to. They're going to make you go the long haul. They're going to make you go, 80, 85 yards, and score if you can. And it's always been that way, wherever he's been. It just comes down to execution.
And so that's where discipline comes in, too. So much of this is going to be Trevor Lawrence not only making those easy throws, because we know it's been a struggle to push the ball downfield at times, but he's also got to make those short intermediate throws like he did last week against the Texans. And in turn, matriculating, I'm going to keep saying that word because Travis Etienne said it, and I love the word, matriculate up and down the football field. The easy stuff is what they're going to give you, and perhaps that's the confidence boost that Trevor Lawrence needs to turn everything else around.
Yeah, and look, if I'm Shane Steichen, I went to Gus Bradley earlier this week, and I would have said, Gus, let's look at the history of how they have a struggling quarterback, and he's got a good history against you. Maybe you get a little bit more aggressive if you're Gus Bradley. I mean, again, we talked about how woeful the Colts are on third down defensively. So everybody's expecting Gus to kind of stick to what he normally does. But this would be a good time for a little bit of a pivot, even if it's just for a week for Indianapolis, because, again, struggling on third down. And, again, you don't know offensively what you're going to get today. If you're Shane Steichen, like if the Jaguars get to 24, that's asking a lot of Joe Flacco without Jonathan Taylor. I mean, and perhaps your center, Ryan Kelly, not being out there. So I'll be curious to see. Everybody's sort of expecting, because Gus Bradley just has sort of done pretty much the same defense now for a very long time. But this would be the time to throw some wrinkles in. The Colts have won 2 games in a row. This is a gigantic game for the Colts. I mean, they're trying to keep pace, obviously, with Houston, who plays the Bills today. We'll get to that later. But if you're Indianapolis, you're not just conceding this game. Obviously, it's a divisional game. So because of the odds being stacked against you offensively, I would not be surprised if the Colts did a little bit of a defensive scheme reset and made some adjustments that will be significant for this game against the Jaguars. Make Trevor Lawrence have to see things a little differently, because obviously he's proven that one defense that he sees awfully well is the Gus Bradley defense.
And it should be noted that, yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers certainly made it a ball game in the second half after the Colts had built a 17-3 lead last week. But Gus did bring more blitzes than he had in the 3 games prior. Could we see more of that? We've seen since week 9 of last year, the Colts go to more of a quarters defensive coverage scheme. Less of that cover 2 that, of course, has been the buzzword in the National Football League. Or, excuse me, cover 3. Less of the cover 3 and less of the cover 2 as well, which has been the buzzword in the National Football League. Shout out to Mel Kiper. I'm very interested to see, especially knowing the personnel that they have healthy and available for this game, if they have the horses for courses to have that many defensive backs, because that room is just so inexperienced and so young for Indianapolis, Hayes.
Yeah, it's a great point. And so, we'll see. I mean, that's going to be, I think, really entertaining to see how the Jaguars attack the Colts defense and vice versa. But to me, this could be a game where you're deep enough into the season now where each team has a pretty good idea what they are. They know their limitations. And I think this is where you start to see wrinkles, where it's like, okay, now we're going to pivot a little bit. And it's going to be a challenge for both staffs because, I mean, the Jaguars have to have this game. I mean, their season is over. If they lose today to go to 0-5, there's just no coming back from that. The Colts, here winning their last 2 to get to 2-2, if they want to stay in the race and really be in a good position, this is one you'd like to get today, because you look at a Jaguars team that has obviously very little confidence. They've lost every game they've played. So if you're Indianapolis, you feel like, look, if we can kind of get a couple things going early, these guys might fold their tents. So a really intriguing game today to see, just from a mental standpoint, the gamesmanship involved, but also the toughness and the grit involved for both of these sidelines.
Those are our keys to the game, brought to you by Instant Keys. Over 100 of you watching right now live on YouTube, another couple hundred watching on X via the MyBookie Digital Studio. So many more of you on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosure. 641-1010 is the number to get in on the conversation here on the Terminix Kickoff Show. When we return, we will head behind enemy lines. Friend of the program, Angela Morian of Wish TV, joins us to break down the Colts side of things in this this AFC South matchup coming up at 1 o'clock live from Everbank Stadium. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Play-by-play just makes everyday life better.
I did not see this one coming.
Get the most play-by-play on 1010XL, Jacksonville's play-by-play sports radio.
Lickety Split AC, Plumbing, and Electric is now hiring. If you have a 5-star mentality to provide world-class custom plumbing or electrical solutions, you should work with Lickety Split. Their team is incredibly supportive, positive, and dedicated to being the best. If you have a valid driver's license with at least 18 months of experience, apply at Lickety Split, an equal opportunity employer offering competitive pay, a service truck, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Hiring management positions too. Visit licketysplitfl.com.
3D Digital has you covered for any of your business's digital marketing needs. From producing award-winning videos to getting those digital ads to follow your customers around the internet, our team has your back. Visit 3ddigital.com or give us a call at 904-712-4004 to schedule a free consultation today. 904-712-4004.
Before termites attack your home or business and cause costly damage, Terminix it. At Terminix, we know how to stop termites. These destructive pests have been around for millions of years, but before they show up, so do we. And their time is up. Don't live with a termite problem? Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com. Terminix it.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwood's. You hear about guarantees and warranties. What is Underwood's policy?
Frank, to talk about guarantees and warranties, you have to look at our history of over 70 years in business. Underwood's entire reason for existence is and has been to offer fine products that will be used with such satisfaction that both the giver and the receiver will want to come back. And hopefully they'll tell their friends about us. To do this means we've got to try our hardest to satisfy every customer. All of our people understand that. Now, I'm sure over the years we've made a few mistakes, but we've never failed to make good on any Underwood product that was returned with a legitimate customer complaint. Our entire reputation would mean nothing if we didn't conduct ourselves that way. Simply put, conducting our business with integrity is a lot more important to Underwood's and our customers than all the guarantees, warranties, and contrived legal obligations in the world. And you've got Underwood's word, my word, and all of our people's word on that.
Underwood's in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Go inside the huddle with our QB, David Garrard.
Hey, I know if you give me time, baby, we can do whatever we want.
And get into the head of an NFL signal caller. Mondays from 10 to noon on Jaguars Today. Brought to you by WaterboyJax.com on 1010XL.
If you're looking for custom metalwork, look no further than Superior Fence and Rail. Whether it's custom railing, shade structures, or custom entry gates, their expert team controls the turnkey process. From CAD design and raw metal to powder-coated finish and expert installation. When you choose Superior Fence and Rail for your custom metal project, you get a project that's, well, superior. So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail today.
Wow, John, my Clearwater sprinkler system looks great.
All right, Frank, let's go ahead and program your Rainbird timer. How many minutes do you want the zones to run?
John, I think we run from the front 20, the sides 15, the back 10, the garden 5. Clearwater scores!
Well, that's a first, Frank, but you're the boss.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage to
ClearwaterJax.com.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now let's go behind enemy lines. Behind enemy lines. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
So as we got ready to invite a friend of the program back on to the Terminix Kickoff show, Hayes Carlyon, Angela Morian of Wish TV says to me, maybe I won't make as many bold predictions as I did 1 year ago when I was on the program and the Jaguars up by 3 scores at halftime. First and foremost, Angela, but there was never a question we weren't going to invite you back. If anything, maybe you're the good juju that Jaguar fans need. How are you on this fine Sunday morning?
Oh, boy. Don't do me like that right out the gate, man. Yeah, that was probably one of my worst takes of my career, was saying how Gardner Minshew is going to return to Jacksonville and be the savior of the Colts and break the curse. Yeah, that didn't happen, no. Now we're going from Minshew mania. Now we have to be wacko for Flacco, Mia. We have to be wacko for Flacco for the Colts today because Anthony Richardson most likely not playing yet again.
Yeah, I was going to say, Angela, Gardner Minshew walked so that Joe Flacco could run, and Joe Flacco did run all over the Jaguars 1 year ago, albeit in a Cleveland Browns uniform. What do you make of Flacco's chances against this Jags defense?
The biggest question mark I have today is the weather. You're there. You know what it's like. I'm up in Indy. It's sunny and beautiful. But will the Colts be able to throw the ball? Because if the weather and the rain isn't going to be a problem, I think Flacco has a huge day against the Jags defense. We saw it last week. He came in off the bench cold and led the Colts to beat the undefeated Steelers against the second stingiest defense in the league. That is just veteran presence from Flacco. And having the receivers that he has in the stable, it's ridiculous. Michael Pittman Jr. had over 100 yards in the first half. Josh Downs is finally back, has some chemistry with Flacco, and then you have the deep threat of Alec Pierce. It is a very dangerous receiving core for the Colts, but will they be able to utilize it? Rain. I mean, you're there, Mia. How bad's the rain today? What are we expecting?
We've got a steady drizzle right now. Would you agree with that, Hayes Carlyon?
Yeah, I would think it actually might help the passing game because there's no wind right now.
Yeah, it's not quite the monsoon. Okay. If you're watching live on our MyBookie Digital Studios, I do have a ball cap on, Angela, because I'm ready for the storm as I'm on the field pregame. But we have not had said storm just yet.
Okay, well, that could be in favor for the Colts for sure, because another big factor in this game for Indy is that Jonathan Taylor is not playing. So you have Trey Sermon and Tyler Goodson, and people might remember Tyler Goodson as the running back who dropped the pass against the Texans in that Week 18 loss that would have put the Colts into the Super Bowl, or not Super Bowl, into the playoffs. And getting way ahead of myself here. But I don't trust either of those backs, to be honest. They're not going to be Jonathan Taylor. So the Colts will have to rely on Flacco's arm and those receivers if they want to get a win today.
Angela, you mentioned the Colts receivers. Josh Downs had the ankle injury in training camp and the early part of the regular season, but what kind of skill set does he have? Because he really looks like an explosive young player.
Oh, man. He is one of the receivers to watch across the entire league, and I think we would have been seeing that from week 1 if his teammate, Nick Cross, hadn't tackled him in a 7-on-7 drill that hurt his ankle during training camp. Regardless, he's back. He's full force. He's got speed. He's actually pretty small, so he has this shiftiness about him that makes him very elusive to bring down. And he can catch anything. He has this innate chemistry with Anthony Richardson that they've been building since last offseason when they were drafted in the same class together. They were working out in Florida over the offseason, and they, built this chemistry up. But it's clear that he doesn't need all of that work to have chemistry with whatever quarterback is in there. He did well with Minshew last year, and now to come out and have a big game, his second game back with Flacco coming off the bench, he is definitely a go-to guy. Flacco said last week that they were looking for him on third down for sure. That was he was always looking for downs. He always knew that he would be able to get whatever yardage they needed to get a first down, and that was true last week. I think that will be the similar case today because Flacco just clearly can trust downs in whatever scenario.
You can find her on X at Angela Morian TV. That's Moryan. She is a sports anchor reporter at Wish TV up in Indianapolis, and she joins us on the Garber Auto Mall hotline. Angela, let's flip it on over to the defensive side of the ball. I alluded to it in our first hour of today's program. I think the loss of Kenny Moore is perhaps understated because the focus for so many when they saw this Colts injury report was no Anthony Richardson, potentially, and, of course, no Jonathan Taylor. How big of a loss is Moore in that secondary for Indianapolis?
Yeah, it's huge. Now, I won't, be all freaked out about it because we're able to beat the Steelers last week without Kenny Moore. My bigger issue is up front on the defensive end for the Colts. You have DeForest Buckner, the all-pro Pro Bowler, who's going to be out for a second straight game. Samson Ebukam, he's been out since training camp. He ruptured his Achilles during camp. But he's the sacks leader from last year when Indy broke the franchise record for sacks. And we just haven't seen that kind of explosivity off of the edge since Ebukam has been gone. There have been people trying to come in there. Latu, the rookie, he's insane, but he's been dealing with some injuries. Tyquan Lewis was filling in on the edge there. He's also out and on the IR. Both Buckner and Lewis on IR from that Colts defensive front. They've been putting pressure on offenses, but it hasn't been the caliber that we're used to seeing from Gus Bradley's defense. And that, really the only starter that's left on that front line is Grover Stewart. So if the Jags have a way to protect Trevor Lawrence and ETN, they might actually get a little bit of leeway today from that defensive front. And then they will be able to open up the game to take advantage of a very young, inexperienced secondary, like you said, Mia, without Kenny Moore. He was their most experienced player on the secondary. So I think the attack has to start for Jacksonville in the trenches. If you can penetrate that first and take advantage of the Colts not being able to put as much pressure in the pocket, I think that will open up the game and maybe give you guys the first win of the season. Because I hear you're desperate.
Yeah, that goes without saying. I think that's a really good way to describe
it's the players,
the Jacksonville
it's the fans,
Jaguars.
It's the entire city.
Yes, absolutely. Angela, in terms of the Colts' third down struggles defensively, do you see anything that they'll try and tweak or adjust to try and get that number a little bit better right now?
Yeah, I think it once again, it just boils down to experience. This is all, the defense in the secondary is all second, third-year players, besides being banged up on the injury front. So in the inexperience, you see flashes, right? Jalen Jones was the AFC Defensive Player of the Week 2 weeks ago, and he had 2 interceptions. And then he gave up 88 yards last week, the most by any Colts defender. So what defense are you going to get today? Sure, there'll be adjustments from the Colts, absolutely. But it matters who ends up showing up. And these players have to get more reps. And that before you get to that point, there's not going to be, I feel like, that much we're going to be able to see consistently until they get that experience under them. I hope that answers the question there.
No, it certainly does, and it's a point that we've kind of been hammering home this morning, this idea of does Indy have the horses for courses, even if Evan Ingram can't go in this game, to cover all of the Jaguars' skill players, even if maybe they haven't been the all-world skill players so many people thought they would up to this point. Speaking of the injury report, Angela, obviously we won't get the actives and inactives until about 90 minutes ahead of kickoff. I'm just curious, the offensive line for the Colts, assess the health overall for me, please, as well as Ryan Kelly didn't practice all week, but he is listed as questionable. Do you expect him to go today?
No, not at all. They downgraded him to doubtful yesterday. It's not on the official injury report. They just tweeted it out. So I don't expect Ryan Kelly to go. And listen, the offensive line, it does have some injuries up front. I'm not concerned. I'm not as concerned as I am about that defensive front. The Colts were able to beat the Steelers last week without Ryan Kelly, without those key pieces on the offensive line. This is perhaps one of the best offensive lines in the league, dare I say. For them to be able to give Joe Flacco as much time as he had last week, coming off the bench, knowing that he's not that shifty dual-threat quarterback that they're used to in Anthony Richardson. He's a traditional pocket passer. They had to give him time. They did. This offensive line is heads and tails over what we saw 2 years ago, even last year. So even with some key pieces being potentially out, they have the depth and the now experience to be able to fill those holes and keep going like they're not being missed. I think it won't be a problem today. We'll see. We'll see. Anything can happen on any given Sunday, but I don't think it'll be a problem today.
What's the long-term view of Richardson in Indianapolis? And it's early and he's missed time, but do they like what they're seeing out of him, or is there some concern?
Definitely like what they're seeing. I think there's a lot of concern from fans, but, these armchair quarterbacks, they don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. But the Colts have a lot of faith and hope and excitement in Richardson. The injuries are obviously an issue. I think this is his 5th, 6th, 7th injury since being drafted last year. I mean, he missed pretty much all the season last year, only played 4 games. And it's definitely a concern. It has not changed how the Colts are calling plays or utilizing him. Richardson has said he's taken a lot of time to learn how to make smarter decisions, when to slide, when not to lower his head and get a concussion or break his shoulder or whatever has happened in the last year. The injury with his hip and oblique, they're technically listing it as an oblique injury. It was kind of just, one of those situations where you have the ball, you're putting your body on the line to get yardage. It wasn't a bad decision by any means by Richardson. It was just a football play. And that's just going to happen when you have a running quarterback. That's why running backs are banged up so much as well. But in the future eyes, looking forward for the Colts and Richardson, they still think they have a gem in him, that he will be back, that he'll have a healthier season this year than last year. He did practice this week. He was limited. He didn't do any team drills, all individual stuff. So my assumption would be that if he can get into the team drills next week, he will be ready to go for the Titans game. Just because he was able to practice all week, I think they're just being precautionary with him. It is, it makes sense that people are concerned about whether Richardson will be able to, go for the long haul, be the franchise guy for this team. I don't think we should be ringing any alarm bells right now. Maybe if we get a second injury this year, maybe if he misses more time, maybe we start talking about it. But long haul, the Colts are excited, the Colts are hopeful, and think that they still have the right guy in Richardson for sure.
All right, Angela, before we let you go on the Garber Auto Mall hotline, a score prediction and, dare I say, any other hot takes you may have or that you may want to rectify from a year ago.
Oh, man, a score prediction. This game, I just do not know what's going to happen with this game. There's so many injuries on both sides. I don't really know what I'm going to see from the Colts. But I have a lot of faith in Joe Flacco. I'm going to go Colts, but it's going to be close. 3 points or less. Colts win this one and break the curse finally. That's just how I have a feeling of it. But I also can see it going the other way, too. My hot takes, I guess, Mia, start Josh Downs on your fantasy team. That's what I'll be doing. And I expect to see a lot from him today. And if you need a running back and you're desperate for a running back, I would go for Trey Sermon, starting him today as well. He'll probably get most of the load with Jonathan Taylor out.
A Sunday sermon, as many are calling it. Angela Morgan of Wish TV up in Indianapolis, a friend of the Terminix Kickoff Show. Thank you, as always, for joining us behind enemy lines.
Hey, thanks for having me. Stay dry down there today and have fun.
Appreciate it. Angela Morgan on TV. Angela Morgan TV is her X handle. That is Moryan, and she is the weekend sports anchor up in Indianapolis at Wish TV. If you're watching on the MyBookie Digital Studio, whether that's on YouTube, Facebook, or X, number one, if you're not, that's a way to get in on the conversation and enjoy the Terminix Kickoff Show. Number two, you may have just seen Chad Mays bring over the shot ski. We are bringing out all the stops, Hayes Carlyon. We're not messing around anymore.
The Colts have a problem.
We have to do something, conjure something with our friends from Brackish Vodka to end this 4-game slide to begin the season. And what better way to do it than with our friends from Growlers Bar and Grill and Brackish Vodka. What are we making today? Don't go anywhere. The final segment of today's Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade, comes up next. Duval Donkey? Maybe? Possibly? Stick around right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called The Vault. Enter today at everbank.com/shadows. One winner and a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry periods for the Shadow Sweepstakes promotion from 8/19/24 to 12/15/24. For official rules and complete details, visit everbank.com/shadows. Sponsored administrator, Everbank N.A. member FDIC.
Hello, I'm Jerry Holland, Duval County Supervisor of Elections. Are you ready for the presidential election? The clock is ticking. In Florida, you must register to vote 29 days before an election, which is Monday, October 7th. Please check your voter information before voting. If you've moved, visit us at northfloridavotes.com and update your address. Remember also, avoid the long lines on Election Day and vote early. Check your sample ballot for the nearest location. We'll see you at the polls.
Hey, sports fans, this is Hayes Carlyon from MyBookie. Every week, we're seeing listeners cash in betting with MyBookie. Look, you don't have to bet big. Just getting some skin in the game makes it so much more fun. This weekend, we are actually favored to beat the Colts. What a world. Heck, this may be one of those games I bet the Colts to win, and if they don't, guess what? I'm happy anyway. The Bills play the Texans. That sounds like a shootout. Give me the over on the 47.5 game total. Don't forget, Sunday night, the Cowboys are 2.5-point underdogs traveling to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll take the Cowboys with the points. The MyBookie double deposit bonus is still live up to $1,000. Get signed up now. Use my promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit. You heard that right. Double your money with 1010XL before you even place a bet. Sign up, use promo code 1010XL. Bet on anything, anywhere, anytime at MyBookie.
Hey everybody, Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville, here to say hello, and we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyriq.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya.
Bold City AC, keeping you cool.
Feeling the heat, Jacksonville? Cool down with Bold City Heating and Air. From repairs to energy-efficient installs, we do it all. Family-owned and trusted since 2016, we offer clear pricing, NATE-certified techs, and unbeatable service. Call Bold City Heating and Air today and experience the bold difference.
Bold City AC, keeping you cool. Bold City AC.
Visit boldcityac.com.
He's not Pistol Pete, he's Pete Prisco.
Been on the wanted list almost 20 years.
CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco joins the Frangie Show Friday afternoons on 1010XL. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
Your car is like part of your family. It takes you to work, drops the kids off at school, goes with you on vacation. You feel safe in your car, but all that can change in an instant due to someone else's carelessness. Now you need money for medical bills, car repairs, lost wages. You need help, and you need it now. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us at 396-5555. Farah and Farah, protecting you and your family since 1979. Jacksonville.
Every week, we're seeing listeners cash in betting with MyBookie. Mia here, and look, you don't have to bet big. Just getting some skin in the game makes it so much more fun. This weekend, your hometown team is actually favored to beat the Colts, -3. What a world! This may be one of those reverse jinx games where I bet the Colts to win, and if they don't, I'm still happy. The Bills play the Texans, and the Stephon Diggs revenge game sure sounds like a shootout, so give me the over on the 47.5 game total over there. And on Sunday night, the Cowboys are 2.5-point road dogs traveling to Pittsburgh. I'll take the Cowboys with the points, knowing they start 2-3, right? The MyBookie double deposit bonus is still live, up to $1,000. Get signed up now using promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit. Double your money with promo code 1010XL before you even place a bet. One more time, promo code 1010XL. Bet on anything, anytime, anywhere at MyBookie.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Starting your game day.
The Terminix Kickoff Show.
Presented by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade Fast Twitch on 1010XL.
So when I said they're pulling out all the stops, when I said they have left no stone left unturned at Growler's Bar and Grill, at Tailgaters Parking, I wasn't kidding. Folks, if you're not watching us on a live stream right now, please do so. YouTube, X, Facebook, so long as you're not driving. If you're driving, continue listening on audio. We will have the video posted later. Chad Mays, we got the shot ski out.
Yes, we had a shot ski made. We need something to kind of liven it up, to kind of break us out of this funk. So we went and commissioned a shot ski. We figured that now when people come up, let's have some fun. You know, even if Jaguars maybe losing or whatever, let's have a good time and do it. You know, still root for our team and still come out and have fun.
I think the presence of the shot ski is going to eliminate the franchise quarterback missing wide open touchdown passes.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it will stop today because of the shot ski.
I agree. We need something. We did it with the donkey. Donkey's not working. Drinking, chugging, and the whole 9 yards. Let's get the shots going. We need kind of a jolt to the system, ready to get going.
It is Trevor's birthday, so if nothing else, we're getting the shot ski going to celebrate his 25th birthday and a new year and a fresh start with the Jaguars home for only the second time in their first 5 games. We also are celebrating with one of the brand new brackish vodka flavors.
This is brackish pineapple, which it's a crowd pleaser for sure. I mean, it's probably one of the most popular flavors outside of the OG. So it's been flying off our shelf. So we're excited to have it.
And what are those new flavors again?
Peach and mango and cinnamon and pineapple and marshmallow, which I haven't gotten marshmallow, but I've tasted it, and it's awesome. I mean, especially when it's fall coming up, man, that one's going to be legit.
Absolutely. And what other specials do we have cooking at Growler's Bar and Grill on this fine Sunday?
So if you come up today, and today only, if you come up and do the shot ski, we're doing 2 for 1. So bring 3, 4, 5 of your friends, and let's get everybody having a good time. It's a dreary day. There's a lot of, possible hurricanes. So let's come have a good time. Let's have a good time today.
Carline, are you ready?
Yeah. I love it. I'm ready. I can't wait to see the master at work here.
We go.
What exactly are we making, Chad?
So I haven't quite named this one, but I think we're going to go with the Brie, since it's my girl Brie who has come up with this recipe. So we're going to do, it's going to be 1.5 ounces of vodka. We're going to pour this one a little heavy for us today.
Oh, boy.
Sprite. And then we come with these Fruitful, which is like a blueberry
We liked that
extract.
last week. Yeah,
last week. So we're just going to do a touch.
Yep.
And then what we're going to do is we're going to shake this bad boy up.
I mean, look at this.
Again, this is why you need to watch on a live stream.
$200 million.
If you're able to, watch this on your phone, because, I mean, this is an artist at work right now.
So we're going to give Mia just a little taste. We know she's got responsibility this afternoon.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
And then we're going to go big dogs.
My responsibility is to brackish into the Terminix Kickoff Show. It's the least that Hayes and I can do.
Love it.
All right, here we go. So we're going to have to probably move these down.
Oh, yes. All right, here we go. So my commentating and Hayes is commentating. We will move the microphones.
Just real quick.
Just real quick. It only takes a second.
Shot ski time.
A toast.
Yeah.
A toast to this great Jaguar fan base. A toast to Tom Coughlin.
Yeah.
And to Vandy.
Yeah,
and
baby.
to Vandy. Here we go.
All right, here we go.
That's
legit.
smooth.
That's good
That's
times.
good.
Wow.
Good times on a ski right there.
That doesn't
Well
even
done.
taste like a shot. If you are intimidated by the shot ski, folks, trust me. That smooth as butter, the Brie.
Yeah,
We're
the
calling
Brie.
it
We're
the
calling
Brie.
it the Brie.
The brie is as smooth as butter. That pineapple,
Fantastic.
brackish vodka, a little bit of blueberry abstract Sprite just goes down nice and easy. Chad, thank you as always. Let the Shotsky reign. Let it be what we needed to continue the Jaguars' domination over the Colts at home, but also to snap a 4-game skid.
Man, I just love it if they just please come on,
Hey,
baby.
we
Come
hope-
on.
we're-
Happy birthday. I'll do whatever you need to do.
We are hoping that it is the elixir because then we'll get to hang out with the Shotsky again
every day.
the
This
next
will be here
home
forever.
game, just like we did with the Duval Donkey. So thank you, Chad.
Brilliant craftsmanship.
And, of course, where can folks buy some brackish vodka?
Well, they can buy brackish at ABC. I mean, they're pretty much everywhere now. ABC, Shores Liquor, Total Wine, Gold Knox. Any of your local liquor stores now, they're pretty much dominated in that liquor store. So they got all the flavors out. Everything's ready to go. I think that you can pretty much find everything. I know that the pineapple, they're having tough keeping on the shelves. I mean, it's actually really good.
Fantastic.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Glad
Great
you've
stuff.
tried it. Appreciate you and appreciate, of course, Growlers Bar and Grill for having us always here for the Terminix Kickoff Show. Before we do make our final score predictions for today's Jaguars-Colts game, Dylan Denmark, let's take a look around the AFC South.
They run it to the right. It's going to be a pass, an option pass. Instead, he kept the ball, and he's going to run it into the end zone. They handed it on reverse to Stephon Diggs. He looked like he wanted to throw it back to Stroud. It was an option pass. It wasn't there, so Diggs just turned it upfield and ran it in for a 6-yard touchdown. Dropping his Stroud. Looking. Fires back to the end zone. Caught for the touchdown. It was Nico Collins. You called it. He beat Andre Sisco in the back of the end zone, and the Texans have taken the lead.
I do think it's worth noting, Hayes Carlyon, as we take one last look back at the Jaguars-Texans game, look ahead to some of the other matchups around the National Football League this week, which, by the way, NFL football is officially on live from London, the Jets and the Vikings at Tottenham Stadium. But I do think it's worth noting that if you subtract, and again, you can't do this in the game of football, C.J. Stroud, 345 passing yards, yes, 151 of them courtesy of Nico Collins. What would that offense be without Nico Collins, which won't be the case when they host the Buffalo Bills today? But it does feel like it's trending more towards an offense that is centered around one player with some auxiliary playmakers for certain, and there was no Tank Dell last week. It's not like this three-headed monster per se that so many expected Houston to be.
Yeah, without a doubt, Stroud to Collins has just become one of the league's most dynamic combinations, and they were certainly brilliant last week in beating the Jags. I am curious to see with Tank Dell coming back. I do think as Diggs gets a little bit more incorporated, I think they'll find that. But for right now, if you're Houston, I mean, why would you stop, throwing it to Collins 15, 16 times a game like they've been doing? So that's a really interesting game today. Bills, Texans, obviously, for the Jaguars, you got to hope for a Buffalo win, and that to me is going to be really interesting to see. I wasn't impressed with Houston. They've got 40 penalties so far this season, playing really undisciplined, a lot of pre-snap problems. You look at, obviously, they had the punt fumble last week. So the Texans, to me, don't look like a team that's going to go win 10 or 11 games. They've got a really rough road coming up in their next 7. You could easily see them going 2-5 in that stretch if things really get bad for them. So this is big today because if the Bills can take down Houston, maybe Houston starts to slide, and maybe you're in a race where if you can just get to 9-8, maybe the AFC South can be winnable at that number again, like it has been. But I think we expected that number to rise this year because of Houston, and maybe the Jaguars as well going to that 10-11 win plateau. I don't think you're going to see that. I haven't been impressed with this division at all. So, yes, you're 0-4, but if you can somehow get a win today, there is a path to climb back to get to 9-8. And that may be enough in this division.
The line has held steady at -1 in favor of the Houston Texans. That's a bit of a surprise to me, although certainly I would argue if you're a home favorite, you're 9 times out of 10 going to have somewhere between a 2 and a 3-point line in your favor. The fact that the Texans are only a 1-point favorite says to me there's enough money coming in on the Bills that people believe Buffalo could go on the road and bounce back from such an abysmal performance a week ago on Sunday Night Football.
Without a doubt, and obviously Josh Allen is one of the 2-3 best players in the NFL right now. So obviously I think he's going to play well against Houston. I think it'll be an entertaining game. I picked Houston, simply because I do think that they'll correct some of the mistakes that they've been having and play a cleaner game. Because I like DeMeco Ryans. I think they've got good leadership there. Obviously, C.J. Stroud. So I like their pieces. I think they're defensively, they'll get after Allen more than maybe they did against Trevor Lawrence off the edge. But I think it's an absolute coin flip game. And look, if you're the Jaguars, I know it seems like it was a terrible September, but if you're able to get this game today and the Texans lose to the Bills, all right, now you're at least somewhat in peaking distance of seeing what you can do. Particularly, your path is pretty good moving forward. Houston's path is awfully difficult.
Titans are on a bye this week, so that concludes our look around the AFC South. The Titans, of course, coming off of a Monday Night Football victory over the Miami Dolphins in Week 4. Quarterback controversy, perhaps. We'll have time for that coming in the weeks ahead, but for now, it is time for our final score predictions and final thoughts for today's matchup here at Everbank Stadium between the Jaguars and the Colts. Let's begin with Pockets, Dylan Denmark, back at 1010XL World Headquarters.
Something's got to give. The Colts came to Jacksonville 9 times. One was in London. Fell short. Church lost his last 9 games. I like the Jags today. Brian Thomas Jr. has a big game. Around 100 yards and a touchdown. I think the Jags win 20-17.
Ooh, okay. 20-17 says Dylan Denmark. What say you, John O'Leary?
The Jaguars are a bad football team until they prove me otherwise. Colts win 21-14.
Ooh, okay. All right. He's sticking with the team that has won this season. Hayes Carlyon, what say you?
I'm going to go with the Jaguars today. I just think they're too talented to be 0-5. I think at some point you got to get upset. I've got the Jaguars today 26-24.
The Jaguars are now favored by 3.5 at mybookie.ag. I said I'm not picking them until they win, so I'll pick the Colts once again. I picked them on helmets and heels. I'll pick them again. But I said that about the Florida Gators, and the Florida Gators are now 3-2. Can the Jaguars turn things around as well? Our thanks to Frank Frangie. Our thanks to Angela Morian. Our thanks to our friends at Brackish Vodka for joining us on today's Terminix Kickoff Show, brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation and Gatorade. The Publix Tailgate Show with Brian Sexton, Mike Dempsey, and friends comes up next right here on the Superstation. Jags and Colts at 1 o'clock. We will catch you later.